If you ask most Americans whether Africa is safe, the answer is usually an immediate no. Crime, violence, instability, danger. That's the image many people have before ever stepping foot on the continent. But after traveling solo across 7 African countries, I learned something most travel videos don't explain. The biggest risks for Americans traveling to Africa are often not the ones people warn you about. And preparing for the wrong risk can cost you a lot of money, limit your experience, or turn what should be an incredible trip into a stressful one very quickly. In fact, the hardest lesson I learned, one that ended up costing me thousands of dollars and took over 2 months to resolve, didn't happen in the place Americans are usually most afraid of. It happened in one of the places people dream about visiting first when they come to Africa. So if you're an American thinking about traveling here, this is the conversation I wish I had heard before I came. By the end of this video, you'll understand what safety actually looks like across different African countries, the mistakes Americans make that quietly create the biggest problems abroad, and how to protect your money, your experience, and your peace of mind when traveling here. Because safety in Africa isn't just about avoiding danger. It's about knowing how to move correctly. And most first-time travelers don't realize that until something goes wrong. If you're new here, my name is Dee. I'm an American living in Africa, and I've spent the last 10 years traveling internationally, often solo, across multiple continents. Over the past year alone, I've traveled through Tanzania, Zanzibar, South Africa, Kenya, Zimbabwe, Namibia, and Rwanda, managing my own transportation, accommodations, and daily movement the entire time. Everything I'm sharing comes from lived experience navigating these environments as an American traveler. The biggest mistake Americans make is asking, is Africa safe? Africa is made up of 54 different countries, and each one operates differently. Rwanda does not operate like South Africa. Namibia does not operate like Zimbabwe. Zanzibar does not operate like Kenya. For example, in Kigali, Rwanda, police officers are posted throughout major parts of the city, and vehicles are inspected before entering many public buildings. In Zanzibar, police officers do not carry weapons. Only the military does. And coming from the United States, that stood out to me immediately because it reflects how peaceful daily life operates there. Swakopmund in Namibia honestly reminded me of home, more like Southern California beach towns, where I felt aware but moved very similarly to how I would back home. Now compare that to major cities in South Africa. Before visiting Johannesburg, I was warned not to have my phone visible and to be cautious in certain areas. In Cape Town, the safety concern turned out to be a completely different. It wasn't about walking down the street. It was about verification and misunderstanding that ended up costing me. And in Nairobi, I was advised to be mindful of visible valuables depending on the area. These are different risk environments. If you treat them all the same, you prepare the wrong way. And preparing the wrong way can cost you money or cost you experiences you'll never get back. Before I went to Johannesburg, I was warned repeatedly about theft and physical harm. So on my first day, I limited where I went and only went out when someone was available. Nothing happened. But because I expected danger, I didn't fully explore the city at first. That fear shaped my experience before reality ever did. The place I was warned about the most wasn't where I experienced my biggest problem. That happened in Cape Town. And it wasn't violent. It was a situation involving a company that was not operating legitimately. And it ended up costing me thousands of dollars and took over 2 months to resolve. I'll explain exactly what happened in my Cape Town First Impressions video. But that experience taught me something very important. Safety isn't only about physical risk. Sometimes it's about understanding systems and knowing who you're dealing with before you trust them. In Zimbabwe and Zambia, the warning I received wasn't about crime at all. It was about wildlife. Near Victoria Falls, I was told not to walk outside at night because animals roam freely. So I adjusted. Different places come with different risks. If you prepare for the wrong threat, you either overreact or underprepare. And both create problems. I traveled to all of these countries solo. In Zanzibar and Tanzania, people sometimes stare because you stand out as a foreign visitor. In Kigali, I experienced the same thing in more local areas. In Johannesburg, attention felt more direct because it's a large urban environment. In Kenya, men occasionally approached me or walked alongside me briefly. Nothing escalated, but the awareness mattered. Many American men also worry about policing or discrimination abroad. That wasn't my experience. Men traveling with me in Zanzibar described police interactions as calm and procedural. Exposure usually comes down to behavior, transportation, decisions, timing, and positioning. These are my non-negotiables when I travel. I choose neighborhoods carefully before booking accommodations. I stay in places with visible security and strong reviews. I use verified rideshare apps whenever possible. If rideshare isn't available, I only use drivers referred by my accommodation. I established a trusted local contact before moving independently. If I go out at night, especially to social settings or clubs, I meet friends who are already established locally. I never do that alone. I avoid displaying valuables unnecessarily. And in most countries, I don't walk alone late at night. Most importantly, I verify before I trust. These habits have kept me safe traveling solo across 7 African countries. And after nearly 10 years of international travel, including multiple continents across the globe, I can confidently say I've never experienced a physical safety issue while traveling. When safety becomes a system instead of a reaction, travel becomes far more comfortable. And if you apply these principles, you can approach your first trip to Africa prepared and at ease. Africa is not one experience, but preparation changes everything. If you apply what we covered today, you don't just reduce your risk, you travel with clarity and confidence. If you're ready to start preparing for a trip to Africa, watch my previous video on what Americans misunderstand about traveling here. And if you want my first time in Africa guide, the exact preparation steps and verification filters that have helped me travel solo safely for nearly a decade, comment guide below and I'll send you the link to download it for free. And if you want to know which African countries make the most sense for first-time American travelers, make sure you're subscribed because that's my next video. My name is Financially Free D, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.